In today's video, I will be performing an engine oil change on a 2012 BMW K1600 GTL. Before I do any oil change on my bikes, I like to run this stuff called liquid moly engine flush. I'll add half of this can into the engine oil, let it run until it's good and hot. Do not rev the engine, and then we'll change the oil. It's been about 15 minutes. The bike is at its operating temperature. The coolant fans have kicked on a few times. Go ahead and shut it down. To conduct this job, we're going to need a ratchet with a 8mm Allen socket. We're going to need a 5mm Allen wrench. You're going to need your BMW oil filter. New washer for the oil pan plug, and 5W40 BMW oil. Underneath the motorcycle, you're going to see this plug right here. This is your oil pan drain plug. This is the oil plug that was removed from the oil pan. I'm going to go ahead and just wipe this up, make it nice and clean. There is a seal on this plug. Go ahead and remove that. This one's in rough shape. Take the new seal and place it on your plug. Now you can set this aside until it's time to reinstall it. Inside this area is the Sump Oil Plug. I cannot show it to you here, but I'm going to show it to you on this picture. So this is the sump inside the oil pan that I'm talking about. That plug is right in here. We're going to put the Allen wrench through the oil pan into that plug and then slowly bring the plug back out of there. This is a nerve-wracking process for me. I'm always afraid I'm going to drop the plug inside the oil pan and end up losing it. So the 5mm Allen wrench is going to go up through here, and that sump plug is in there somewhere. Got a feel for it. All right, there it is. Then I'm going to use a small wrench just as leverage so I can break that free. Unscrew that plug and carefully bring it down and get it out of there without dropping that plug. And there it is. And there's the plug. And now we'll just wait till it's done draining. Take your sump drain plug and carefully guide it back up inside and into the sump. Being careful not to cross thread. Now this calls for 12 Newton meters of torque. With my wrench, I'm just gonna snug it up. 12 Newton meters is really not a whole lot of torque. Next, install the oil pan drain plug. And this calls for 28 Newton meters. I need to remove the oil filter. To get to that, I need to remove the shift lever out of the way. There's a little wire clip. Remove that. The linkage should pop right off. Using a pair of oil filter pliers, go ahead and remove this filter. Clean the mating surface of the housing. Take your new filter. A little bit of oil on the seal. And put this onto the housing. So the book calls for 11 Newton meters of torque on the oil filter. What I do is I'll turn it till it touches and then turn it about halfway. Make sure your motorcycle is on the center stand. Remove the dipstick. We are going to add 4.1 liters of oil. Now we can put the dipstick back in, hand tighten it. We're gonna start it up, let it run till the radiator fans kick on, and then we let it run for 1 more minute after that.
The coolant fan, you can feel it. It's kicked on.
So now we run the engine for 1 more minute, and then we shut it down and check the oil. Now, the book states that we have to wait 1 minute after engine shutdown before we check the oil level. Wipe it down. If you look at the dipstick, you will see there's an arrow here at this line. That's your minimum mark. And there's an arrow here at this line. That's your maximum mark. So you should be anywhere between these two lines. I like to be about center. To check your oil, the motorcycle has to be on a center stand. You're gonna put the dipstick back in, seat it on the threads. Do not screw it down. Bring it back out and see where your oil level is. I am right about here. I'm gonna add just a little bit more. I like to get it right about in the middle somewhere. And there we go. We're about halfway, just a little bit past halfway in between those two marks. And that's perfect. dipstick back in, and now we can go ahead and screw it down. While the motorcycle is running, it's a good time to check underneath, make sure there's no leaks. One last thing we need to do, go ahead and connect the shift linkage back up. I like to use Mobil 1 synthetic grease. I just put a little bit on my finger, insert it into the linkage. Pop it back on. Put that clip back in place. And we are good. And that, folks, is how I do the oil change on the BMW K1600. You will need 5 liters of oil to do this oil change. I'll put links in the description area below to the items that I used here today. Any comments, questions, I'll respond to them as soon as I can, like I always do. God bless, have a great day, and be kind to each other. Goodbye.